Any questions? Moving on to the operating.
The first line item is office materials. That one is zero. Dues and publications, 1,370. Employee training, 4,800. Communications, 2,900. Equipment and repair, $620. Printing and binding, 515, 1,800. Advertising, 1,000. Travel allowance, 500. Professional services, 50,000. And contractual services, 2,400.
And how much was printing and binding? I'm sorry. 18?
Printing and binding, 1,800.
Okay. Are there any questions on operating? Under contractual services, the municipal, is that just the engineering firm we contract with?
Yes, yes. Last year it was 4,500. I'm sorry, last year it was 45,000, and we bumped it up to 50,000 this year because the vendor history showed that it had gone over. So you don't want to exceed it again, so we bumped it up 5,000.
And you also have contractual services for spatial data.
Right.
Can you, real quick, just tell the benefit of having that?
Well, basically, and we had talked about this at the council meeting too. Spatial Data Logic is a system that we use throughout planning and DPW, where we all have access to information based on a property address. So, for example, if it's one property, if somebody does something in the building department, if they issue permits, I can go on to that same property and see everything that took place. So it's a information sharing. It's also a document creator. It creates letters and different things like that based on what you put into it.
Citizens, are there any other questions?
Yeah,
Councilwoman Butler?
Question, last year there was an allowance for uniforms and clothing, but I don't see it this year.
I believe that was the American Wear that I spoke about on the First Street Division. That covered everybody. It covered everybody,
Okay,
yes.
it's no longer in that, okay.
Are there any other questions? No? Citizens budget, are there any questions in this department? No? Moving to vehicle maintenance.
Vehicle maintenance for motor, fuel, 600,050. Tires, 50,000. Motor vehicle, 306, 175,000. Oils and fluids, 3,000. 509, vehicle repair, 214,000. Contractual services, 10,500.
Director Mays.
Yes.
Under
You skipped two
Did I skip something?
on the back, GPS monitoring. Oh,
No, that's
part of the
contractual
10,000.
service.
Oh,
Yeah, that's part of it.
Director Mays, under account 307, oils and fluids, it's only 3,000 for the entire fleet?
Yeah, what we do is with that, those are, if you come to the yard, we order those big 55-gallon drums of oil and antifreeze, and you pump it out.
Okay.
That's what we use.
Council President,
Councilman Corbett?
Mr. Mays, under 303, motor fuel, this year you're asking for 650,000.
Right.
How do you monitor that? How do you know that someone is, and I know we had this discussion some years ago, how do you monitor that to make sure that no one is pumping gas into their own personal vehicles? And how do you arrive at this figure? Is it based on last year's figures or some sort of record keeping?
This figure is based on last year's figure, but we did pump it up because gas prices are expected to hit $4 and prices keep going up with gas, so we think we're gonna have to pay more for gas than we did last year. As you remember, I believe it was at the end of last year, we had a hiccup with the gas where we were actually cut off. And we don't want that to happen again. We make sure that we have enough money to go all the way through, because that created a big problem for us. And as you stated earlier, fire, police, anybody, we first respond, even Public Works, we first responders. We gotta respond. We can't say we don't have any gas.
Right, right.
So we just wanna make sure, and in terms of tracking this, believe me, we track this. Everybody has a specific number. We have gone even as far as removing people from the list if we think that there's any impropriety going on, which is something, I don't know if they did it in the past, but we have done that over the last year. If we even think that something is wrong, based on us looking at the records, we will remove that person. That person will no longer have those privileges.
All right, as long as you have something in place that monitors it, that's my most important concern. Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Eason?
Yeah, you budgeted 450,000 last year. And you're up to 200.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of that is based on the anticipation that gas is gonna hit $4. I hate to say that, because I gotta pay it too, but gas is anticipated to, I don't know if everybody else is hearing that, but it's anticipated to really go up.
What's your name?
460.
Where is the maintenance contract for the police?
That's
Where you
down.
budgeted that? Where did you
That's,
budget?
you wanna go to it? We're gonna come to it, but I can go to it now if you want.
No, we'll wait till you get
Okay,
this year,
yeah,
right?
we didn't hit it yet.
We'll wait till we get there.
Okay.
That's fine.
Council President?
Council, hi, Megan.
Hi. I just want to caution you guys, for example, for motor fuel, the amount in the introduced budget is actually 500, not 650.
Okay, that's a mistake.
A mistake where, in the introduction or in this,
And
in your piece?
my piece, for some reason, didn't get changed. Okay.
Recommended is 500.
It's 500?
Yeah, because what happens is, in a lot of, and I've been noticing it in a lot of the OE detail, if you're looking at this handout that you all have, it's the difference between the requested and the administration recommended. So a lot of the sheets in the binder show the requested amounts, and what's actually in the budget is the administration's recommended amounts.
And that's
I
the problem.
think you were not here
Last night, yeah.
last night. Mrs. Gary stated that what was sent down is in the front portion, and actually the worksheets in the back are of very little use. And we discussed our concern with that because it's not a true working document, but she did mention she was very limited in resources in terms of helping put this budget together, so everything may not be, but she did mention
This is
that.
what's making
But
us.
she also said, Megan, that even though what they sent to the state, we could still modify that number because it was a work in progress.
Right.
Yeah, so if she put in 500,000 and we wanted to increase it, we could. Okay?
Can I just point out something before I hear? 509 was a mistake. In 509,
Repair maintenance?
yes, in 509, it says vehicle repair and maintenance, but that first, what is it, $100,000 figure should be wiped off, because the true price is the next one from Select Auto. That's it. We went out to bid and the contract came back at 97.
So the 102.
102 should be removed.
Okay. So, Megan, looking at this sheet right here, the amount that went down to the state is the 141, you're saying?
Right.
Okay. So it looked like it is like Director Mays. 141, 500 went down to the state.
So what should that 214, 100 be?
The
The
141.
total for vehicle repair and maintenance, since you're now removing the 102. I didn't do the math.
141, 500.
Can
It's
I-
on this sheet right here.
Yes, I just want to make one other observation. For the auto body repair, I would like to up that to $10,000.
Well, let's
From-
see, well, because we have 141,500 in there. So you're saying it should be 97,570
Yes,
plus what?
plus the 9,600.
All right,
And
can you
I'm
answer
look,
this real quick, make sure, see if it's
and
on.
I'm looking to increase the
doesn't add, right.
auto body repair from 4,500 to 10,000.
So it'll be 97,107. Yeah, you're still within the 141,500.
Right.
Because the total amount requested for that account is 141,500. Are there any other questions on operating? Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, any questions on Vehicle Maintenance Division? No? Director Mays, before we move forward, if you see,
Which one is that, 509? To my 509?
after
It's
each
1415.
section or budget account, if there's a resolution that is related to that department, it's right after,
Yes,
the fleet list should be after this department.
I can provide that.
If you can do that.
Because
if
we
can have a cur-
updated
and
it, yeah.
we need a current fleet list.
Okay.
Okay. We're now going to snow removal. Before 2014, do we know, Megan or Ms. Knight, if the trust fund has been, started in this snow account? You don't know?
I know the resolution passed. I don't know what she did with it. I just thought about that
Yeah,
too.
because if so, all the snow billing really occurred in 2014, correct? There was really no snow in 2013, it was really 2014, really.
Most of it, yeah.
So then that means those funds should have went to the trust, and then you would have that, so we would start, if we could see if that
Yeah, I need
purpose.
to, okay, I need to follow up. I don't know what the status is with that.
And so you have 25,000, but is it, what you're requesting for the snow removal?
For snow removal, again, based on what we actually spent last year,
This year?
we spent 38,000 on overtime. So I'm looking to increase that number.
In 2013, we spent 38,000 on snow removal?
Not in, I think, part of 2014 too.
Right, that's-
Both. It came out to 38,000. We had only budgeted 10,000 last year. So now Joy did up these figures to 25,000. I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough based on what we spent last year. I don't know if we're gonna get another winter like last year,
Well,
but
it says it spent 20,000 on overtime, and then supplies almost 50,000, so that's 70,000, about 67,000 total.
yep. Because on the next one, materials and supplies for rock, salt, and brine, we spent 40,000. So we spent about 70,000, where we had only 20,000 budgeted.
Where are you guys looking?
Snow removal,
Snow removal.
I'm looking at the one in this package, is that it?
yeah, it's on page 5.
Yeah, well, you see 70,000.
No, I'm saying, I know how much we spent based on,
It is 19,000 for the overtime, plus 47,000 for the supplies, which is 67,000. See the bottom number, $67,153.59?
Right.
Right. And then you requested, so what went down was 100,000? Megan, correct? Right.
Sorry?
Was it 100,000 requested in this account?
Correct.
It was 100,000 requested in this account. And that would be 50 for the contractual services
yes,
and 25 for the salaries.
yes. I just want to note that we spent more than that.
No, you requested 100.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for overtime, I believe it was more than what's stated on that sheet. I
25?
came out that it was 38,000.
Because you're counting 2014.
Right.
But in 2013, it was
Okay.
19,185.
All right.
Any questions on salaries or the operating? What is the contractual service? It's just, if
That's
it
what-
happens, do you have a contract in place, or if it happens, you just do an emergency contract?
Emergency contract. We did do that last year, but it wasn't a lot. It was only 13,000 that we spent last year. And that's what I talked about earlier. We may, and we probably looking at spending at least double that for this year.
Council President,
If it snows.
If it snows, yes.
with regards to snow removal, I don't know if this is possible, whether you can actually do this or not. Who does the snow removal for the Board of Education? Do they do their own, or is that contracted out?
They contracted out.
So it's
I
not,
don't know the name.
so I'm just thinking,
Didn't you do that, Councilwoman Easton?
They do their own. because
They do their
the
own? I
trucks
thought
that
they
come to my
contract
house
some of
are
it out.
Board of Education trucks. That does the school next door, because Shanky does it with
Yes,
his
he
trucks.
does. Yes,
Yeah.
Shanky, yeah.
But Shanky is a contractor.
Yeah, he
does
is.
the snow removal.
Right.
But he does all of their building, grounds, maintenance, all of that.
is there a,
Councilwoman Easton, didn't you talk about shared services with the board?
They do not want to share anything with us right now. They are so mad. Because somebody gave them 2 tickets during the snow.
anyway, after cooler heads prevail, I think that's something that we should look into, to see if we can actually partner up with them during, snow emergencies. Might be a way that we can reduce our cost.
They are not going to entertain that at this time, I can tell you right now.
Ever?
Well, maybe in a couple of years, but right now, they're not interested in any shared services with Orange,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I left
The
one
city.
thing.
with the city.
I left one thing out. I want to go back because I forgot it. I would like to add an additional $15,000 to 301 materials and supplies. I had talked about this at one of the council meetings. On those last 2 snowstorms, we didn't have enough snow plows.
Snow plows?
Yeah.
But keep in mind, the 100 is what's requested in actually
So I
this
fit in
department
there? So
right
if-
now, because, so you just said 50, 25, 75. Well, so you're at 75, what you actually need right now, so there's extra 25 already requested. Director Mays, there was several council members asking regarding equipment. That truck that became very popular, where you had the 2 trucks like this, and one truck plowed and shot the snow into the other truck. There are smaller ones that are built for urban areas. Have you been looking into that?
Yes, we've been looking into trucks. We've been going out, looking at different vehicles, trying to decide what we're going to get.
Okay.
Yeah, we are looking into different,
That type of,
Yeah.
because we don't have too many places to put snow.
That means they can take the snow away instead of just stacking it.
Right. And again, there is going to be, under snow removal, maybe a plan for equipment, so that you're not being reactive, you're being more proactive. Is there, with the plows and things like, so you don't. Citizens Budget Advisor, any questions on snow removal? Nope. Buildings and grounds?
building and ground salary. John Worsley and Leo, I'm not looking to make any changes there.
You have a vacant person that you want to fill? Well, did you want to fill a vacant, is that a vacant position you're requesting?
Right now, I really wasn't looking at filling that position. I'd like to get the mechanic, that's my main thing,
Okay, and
and
overtime?
the other person.
Overtime, 10,000?
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason?
Did Mr. Sardano retire?
Yes, he did.
So what is he working part-time?
Yes.
So he's still doing the traffic lights and things
Yes.
of that nature?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. yes. I think that was a change from last year's budget. He was under the fire department, and last year we put him under here.
And
Now, when are we getting them fixed now?
Director Mays, you did spend over the 10,000 in overtime last year, but it was, again, $1,000.
I went over by how much?
1,000. You was
Okay.
11,000 last year. Going on to, any questions with the salary? Operating?
Okay. No, it's not the last one, but Building and Grounds Division, janitorial, material and supplies, that was 25,000. Hardware, supplies and materials, 24,500. Nursery, landscaping supplies, 5,000. Equipment, repair and maintenance, 53,750. Contractual service, 528, 90,000. And other equipment, 5,000. Let me see if I can go through this. I made a lot of notes. One of the things that I wanted to highlight was in 510. I am asking that the elevator service and repairs to City Hall and the police building go from $8,700 to $15,000. And that's because we had a lot of trouble last year with our elevator, as everybody knows. And the elevator here at City Hall at one time was out for 2 weeks, which was, it was bad. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the elevator maintenance contract to both elevators, because particularly the elevator in City Hall, every couple of months, we had these individual relays that were blowing out. And because we had no service contract, they kept blowing out one by one by one. It actually damaged the motor. And it was just unacceptable. So now we want to put an elevator maintenance contract in place so the elevators will be maintained and we can avoid those costly breakdowns. The other thing I have here is under fire alarm inspection, I'd like to add installation, because as you know, here at City Hall, our fire services is in bad shape. We had an incident with the elevator where smoke filled up a portion of the building, and we didn't have any alarms, nothing to let us know to get out the building. And that's totally unacceptable. So we've been looking to various vendors that supply a fire alarm system, and we want to add that to this building next year.
So that's gonna be under 510?
Yes, that's gonna go under 510, that and the elevator maintenance.
And did you give us a estimated cost?
For the fire alarm installation and the system itself, we looking at adding an additional $50,000.
Any other questions,
The
Councilwoman?
fire, and the elevator was 15.
Right.
And Mr. May, a while ago, I asked that we check that escape route for the council. Did anybody ever test that? I had asked Director Dow that maybe he wanted to make sure that was secure.
I know you can have it tested. I haven't looked into that. I can.
Would you ask the fire department to do that? I think I asked them to do that a couple of months ago. Because I was saying at some point, we probably need to have a fire drill one night. So we
Okay.
can see what our escape
Yeah,
routes are.
yeah. Okay, that's not a problem.
Any other questions, Councilwoman Easton?
I just have a couple of other things that I
Let him go
want.
ahead and finish it, then
Under the next line item, contractual services 528, I would like to increase plumbing service contract to 25,000. We had a lot of plumbing issues over the last year where we had to bring in a plumber. I talked about this before. We do a number of the plumbing items ourselves, but for the ones that we can't handle, then we want to bring somebody in. So under 528, you see plumbing service contract. I'd like to increase that to 25,000. And also under 528, I'd like to increase the fire sprinkler system from $3,500 to $10,000. And that is based on something at the police department in their main computer room or IT room, whatever you want to call it. They have a system that if there was a fire, you have to spray water. And obviously that would damage all the computers. So we want to change that to a dry system. So if there was a fire, the computers would not necessarily be destroyed. So that's why I want to change that. Also, under 528, I'd like to change.
Mr. Mays, before
Yes.
you, their card readers are not working right.
The card readers, the equipment was ordered. There was a delay in getting the project started. The equipment was ordered. The equipment will be here Monday, and the first doors will be changed on 521.
And they will be tied into the fire, so if there's a fire, that the
Yes.
card readers will, they will
Right.
be able to get out of the building.
Right. So there was, I just talked to everybody over there today. You're right, absolutely right. There was almost a 2-week delay in getting the equipment. The equipment, and I've explained this to the finance department, that the equipment that they're ordering is the equipment that's going to stay with the police department. We're getting a new card reader. We're going to make our own cards, a new printer. So that project is for next week, next Wednesday.
And it will work with the doors, so that
Yes,
there's a-
yeah, finally, I mean, that system's been broken for years, so, and it took a long time, but we're gonna, next week is it, and I'll be glad. All right, let's see, where am I? I'm
Well, you
okay
were gonna
with
talk about the cleaning contract, is that?
the cleaning contract. Okay,
28.
let me talk about that. That goes back to 314. Right now, we have budgeted $25,000. That needs to be increased by $35,000. We have a current contract. We did go out to bid. The CFO would not add anything that wasn't included in the budget. So that's a decision that we have to make. I hope that we can expedite that decision because contract is only good for 60 days, and we're coming up on that 60 days, so I don't want to have to rebid. I don't know how we do that. I'm just saying, I'd like to move forward without having to rebid the contract again. And I was going to, I forgot to ask for the date, because I want to give you the date, but we got to be at least 40, 45 days in now. So that would take another 35,000.
For the
235 or
No,
additional 35?
An additional 35.
To 60?
Yes.
Council President?
Councilman East, were you finished?
I think I'm done.
Councilman Marable?
As you've asked to increase about half a dozen things tonight, I've never seen a director come to one of these meetings and ask for so many changes upward. How is this happening? In other words, is this all you without the knowledge or consent of the administration? Did you lose the battle and now you're trying to win the war here tonight? I mean, I'm not understanding how so many changes upward.
Well, I think the changes that I'm asking for are changes that are reasonable, and that changes that are sensible.
Did you ask, did you have these discussions with the administration before we received this document?
I had some discussions, not on every item, but as a director, I have the discretion to ask for an increase in the items that I feel need to be increased to run my departments efficiently. I don't think it's necessarily something, not in every instance, that I have to get approval from the administration for. I mean, we want departments that are sound, that are operating at an efficient level, and that's all I'm trying to do.
Well, I guess I assume you were in agreement with the budget that was given to us, and it sounds like, again, to some extent, an unprecedented level, you're not. And I've just not seen half a dozen requests of this type ever, really. I mean, I understand what you're saying, I've just never seen it before.
This is what I do every year.
I've
And
never,
I remind y'all when something goes wrong or something happens, I remind you and say, last year in my budget presentation, I spoke about that. So tonight, I'm doing nothing different than I've been doing, so I don't know. I don't really view it as that many upward increases. Most of the increases that I spoke about tonight, and Council President can tell you, they fit within what we're asking for. I'm just trying to get all the information out.
Director Mays, why weren't these requests in the presented budget?
Well, these are the requests that I made. Some of the requests, as I stated earlier, Joy had the liberty to
So you
change.
did requests, and it was changed by administration, and now you're...
Some of them, not all of
The
them.
ones that you're requesting.
Some of them, not all of them.
Okay.
Some of them are just, what we need based on spending and how to close out this year.
So,
But these are not all things that, were cut.
and the
some of
ones that
things-
were not cut, the changes came because of something that happened between delivery and...
Just time, yeah, just the time frame. I'm almost done, Councilman Marable.
I'm not rushing you, I'm
want to say
trying,
nothing else now.
maybe it's just me, I've never seen this happen before.
Council President.
No, are you finished, Councilman Marable?
Yeah.
This is a wish list.
It should be, but the numbers are different, but it happened in several departments. Councilman Corbett?
Mr. Mays, under pesticide chemicals,
Right.
we've been having these discussions since 2012. Do you have someone licensed to utilize these chemicals, or is this for the exterminator's use?
Right, we did switch from using the exterminator. We have somebody that went to school and received their pesticide license, and that's how we treat our buildings now. We utilize that person.
All right. Thank you, Council President.
Council President,
Councilwoman Easton?
remember we had some discussion about that and so how you doing the police cars?
The police cars, we doing it with the car wash.
Exterminating them?
I'm not sure if he sprays anything on the cars, I have to check that. But
Inside?
yeah, I have to check that, I can.
Because remember, that was a key issue that the police cars
Yes.
needed.
But we didn't have a car wash either.
Yeah, but need to have some kind of treatment.
All right, let me find out, I have to get
In
back.
case of an emergency, what do
Okay.
you do when the car comes in?
Well, I'm sure we could treat it. I'm sure he can do that. He has a license just like anybody else, but I know he does something. I don't want to misspeak
So is
though.
he on 24-hour call?
I don't think he's on 24-hour call,
And I think
but,
that was their concern.
okay.
Because if something happens with a prisoner in a police car and they need it exterminated, they need to have somebody that they can call to do that so they can put it back on the road.
Okay, I will get back to you on that.
Okay.
Any other questions on this account? Are there any questions from the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee on buildings and grounds? Moving on to refuse removal. 600.
Refuse removal, Materials and supplies was 8,250. Contractual services was 528. I'm sorry, 528. Contractual services was 300,000. And solid waste and recycling was 300,000. I went through this, and there is a mistake in 528.
Right.
528, it says 300,000, but if you add all of those line items, it's really $2,147,954.
Let me see what was sent down.
Everybody see that?
Let me see what was sent
528,
down.
mine says 640.
You
Oh, I'm sorry.
refuse removal.
What amount was sent down to the state, Megan?
1.8 million.
I see.
1.8 million? So what, the number that, and you just said what, Marty?
That if you add those four, it was 2,147,954.
And administration cut it down to 1.8.
Okay.
Okay. And what number, in your opinion, is more realistic, the 1.8 or the 2.1? Director Mays? You looking?
I just need to see how they got the 1.8 broken up.
They don't
I
have
don't-
it broken down?
They don't have it broken down?
They just had, there was requested 2.1, and they actually, administration is recommending 1.8.
All right, that's something I'm gonna have to sit down with Joy when she come back and take a look at that.
You're budgeting 2,000, okay, no, because do you have any grants that would be applied to, because of the recycling to this department, anything?
No,
No, okay. But so you have to come back and let us know
Right.
what number is more realistic?
okay.
Councilwoman Reed,
Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but if you look at that, there's no history. So they're using, I guess, a guesstimate. So they didn't base their number on anything historic, any historical data. So they don't even know if that is even the right number. They just
know-
threw a number in there.
Yeah, you know why? Because deals with the removal of solid waste and where we send our garbage to the incinerator, and those figure, I think Councilwoman Williams had a question for me for the last council meeting, and I went back and ran the numbers. The numbers vary month to month. For example, now it's the springtime, people putting out more trash, people doing spring cleaning. Some months it's 30,000, some months it's 70. And then it also has to do with the weather too, with the snow. And how much you put out when it snows versus, so that figure is always funny with solid waste and even recycling.
What I'm saying, then they have no historical data here. They don't even know if that number is sufficient. It could be shortchanging the budget, and then the residents have to pay the price for that.
I can sit down with Joy and talk about that, but,
I think you need to go get some historical data
okay.
to make a case for you getting the 2.1.
But has this been in another account? Because, like, was this always 528? No, it was 530. It's 528. It looks like, Megan, did they kind of transfer some things from 528 to 531?
Yeah, for this account, it looks like everything was being charged to the 528 account. Last year's total was 1,951,000. So you got to compare that to the 2,000,001 for this year.
Okay. Same thing you've seen before. You seen that, Councilwoman Neeson? It's between the 528 and the 531? And then in 531, was this condo and multi-dwelling reimbursement a line item previously?
Should have been.
This is complex?
No, see, if you look at this sheet with 521, you'll see the numbers for the solid waste and all. Solid
No,
waste,
I'm looking at last year's budget to see where it fell.
yeah, it was 2.1 appropriated and 1.9 spent. And the condo multi-dwelling reimbursement, that's the, do you have what was spent last year?
I don't.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? The contract for garbage removal, when is that contract due to expire?
I think next year, or I think either next year or the year after. I think it's next year because we're gonna, that contract is a bear to put together. We talking about starting at least 6 to 8 months early to get it together because it's a lot of work. So I think next year.
Okay,
It's almost up.
thank you. Any other questions? Citizens Budget Advisor, any questions? No? Okay. Moving to, is gas and electric, is this
Yes.
gas and electric?
Gas and electric, 502, 600,000.
And what was recurring and,
I think we fine with that. I think we only increased it by 100,000
yeah, based on?
based on the cost going up.
So you budgeted 500,000 in 2013, and we spent 355? And now you're requesting 600, administration actually sent 400 down. And
Right.
And you just stated 500?
Yeah, 600.
Councilman Barrow looking. But we actually did a transfer for gas and electric, didn't we? So we must have another account.
I don't know if we did a
Because this
transfer.
is showing,
It would be in there.
the transfer will be in this amount?
Yeah.
But then we showing this, even though we're showing a surplus, isn't it saying 88,000? Unless we didn't need to transfer after we did it, or? With street light, maybe it was street lights that we did the transfer. I think it was street lights. Okay, Citizen Budget Advisory, any questions on gas and electric? Moving to street lighting?
Street light.
I'm sorry, what is the final request regarding the gas and electric? What's the final-
400 was sent to the state. I think Marty just, did you consider, or you want 500, or you recommended 500?
I recommended 6, but again, Joy, she cut what she wanted to cut.
But remember, only 355, so you think that when we show appropriations as of April 30th, that meant all the bills that were paid against the accounts April 30th? Only 355 was spent, so, and you're anticipating a 250,000 increase?
No, that one is probably a little more than
So which-
needed. But this is what I originally put, 600.
So 500, or are you okay with the 400?
I'm
Or are you
okay.
okay with the 6, what are you saying?
As long as we have enough, but I'll be okay with 400. But
Okay.
again, on the instances like this, I'm gonna have to go back to Joy because I didn't have the option of seeing this sheet until tonight. So that's why there's a couple of different discrepancies as well. And then also typically I would sit down and go over every line item with Joy, but Joy's been sick.
Okay.
So this is, so for gas and electric, you're gonna cut it to 400,000?
I'll concede to 400,000. I don't have a problem with that. But again, I spoke to Joy tonight, and definitely I need to sit down and go over everything with her one more time.
Moving to street lighting,
Street lighting, 640,528. The only thing I wanted to add about that one is we have one of those third-party providers, NRG, which you see on the last thing right there, which is something that we have in place now. I just want to note that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You did what?
We have, like, remember when the gentleman from PSE&G came, and he talked about the third party? We have that as a city, a third-party provider, which is new, which is this company, NRG.
And, okay, so we have public service and NRG.
Right, remember he talked about how you get branch? We actually have that as a city.
Okay. And we also, do we do, utilities, do we do any sharing throughout the county with utilities?
No, we're not involved in that.
We're not share, okay. So last year, how much was spent on the street lighting? Megan?
560.
560. What's the number below the budgeted, what's that number?
You transferred out of this line last year.
No, the 1.2.
1 point. That was the total requested for street lighting and gas and electric.
Gotcha. So we spent 560 requests, and what was sent, 595? Ooh, cutting it close, we spent 560, and they're requesting 595, and your recommendation is 640, Mr. Mays?
Yeah, that's what I would put, but these, like I said, I didn't have the opportunity to sit with Joy, so we have different discussions like we have, so that's something that I'm gonna need to do. But these figures, I don't feel they're off by that much. Again, every year, all of that stuff goes up again, more and more.
Council members, any questions regarding street lighting? Citizen Budget Advisor, any questions during street lighting? So we are finished Public Works. Do we want to go right into planning? Do you want to take a break, council members? Yes.
A request.
Can you come to the mic, Mr. Myers?
The council has just spent a number of hours on a very important topic, but I think that we should take a break, put the library in, and put Mr. Mays back in on the hot seat if you want to grill him for a couple more hours, whatever it is. But this is
You're saying give Mr.
going
Mays a
on
break?
way too much time, especially for one person to be sitting there.
Okay, you're recommending Mr. Mays have a break?
Mr. Mays is finished.
No, he's not. He has to do planning.
I can come back.
Yeah.
This is his confirmation hearing.
Council members, you want to take it to, give everybody a break. Let's make a
Planning
motion
is
for
short.
recess for a couple of minutes. Moved by Councilman Corbett. Is there a second? A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed?
Public Works.
Just a couple of minutes.